Hi, welcome back, or maybe welcome us back. I know we've been on a little bit of a hiatus and we appreciate your patience, but we really do want to finish this series with you and we appreciate your patience. So we are on episode 66.
66, yeah, which is not very pleasant episodes. But we have to cover it. Yeah. So as we saw in the previous episodes, Yeshua and his direct family are basically walking to the east to the country of Kashmir,
Right.
right? So we are just following them along this very long journey. So the long walk continues, and they are exiting the deserts, and they are coming into the city of Sushan, which I think is known as Shush today.
Oh, shush.
In Iran.
So
Yeah,
shush came
Shush,
from?
perhaps.
Sorry.
And that beautiful city appears to the caravan, and the trail had been extremely long and endless, and Meryem, the mother of Yeshua, is completely exhausted. So fortunately, the city is beautiful with palace and temples surrounded by forest and gardens. And maybe it was very different from what it is today, who knows. And Bashim, who is the leader of the caravan, decides to stop the caravan not far from the most imposing building in the city, which is the residence of the former king Darayavus, which is known in our world as Darius I, who lived about 500 years before Yeshua and reigned over the Persian Empire. Yeah. So you had a very big piece of land, And Yeshua is taking a walk in the city of Shush, or Sushan, and he's very impressed by the architectural marvels and the fusion, actually, of the Greek traditions and the Persian architecture. So those people have, I guess they had a lot of Greek influence and Greek immigrants at that time. And
I wonder what happened to that for us. Like, it just seems like there's nothing really extraordinary being built anymore, right?
No.
I mean, it's...
Yeah, well, I guess we prefer to build weapons of mass destruction.
Yeah, maybe that's the problem.
So Yeshua is looking at everywhere, there are griffins, which are sculpted and painted, and it is bringing back to him the memories of the Sphinx in Egypt when he has his first initiation. And he finds everything very sumptuous, without being ostentatious. And he really loved this architecture, and the decoration is very similar actually to what can be seen when you travel in the upper astral realm.
Oh, okay.
For people who have the capability to do that, and Yeshua had the capability to do it.
So he's saying he recognizes some of that?
Yes, he says that the architecture of that Persian design, mixed with Greek, is actually reminiscent and reminding him of what can be seen in the upper levels of the astral realm. Yeah. So that's it's most likely it's the architects, and the artists who are designing those
higher state of consciousness.
Yeah, higher state of consciousness, and had access to those realm. Yeah. And Meryem, Sarah, Thomas, and his wife are also absolutely under the spell of beauty and majesty emanating from the city of Shush. Yeah. And after 4 days, the caravan has to go and continue. So they resume their journey, and all the little group is very sad to leave such beautiful place. And Thomas says, we could have lived there.
I wouldn't have wanted to leave either.
Yeah, Mother is so tired,
I think we should stay longer.
Yeah, exactly. And Yeshua goes, live here? Yes, my brother, but to do what? We are not here to limit ourselves to the existence of the body. To live is another thing. Meryem and you would waste your time here. Your soul is already somewhere else, Thomas. And so they continue their journey. And the next stop is the city of Afsamane. And it was not that far. And from there, Yeshua knew the road and could remember it. There was something definitely different in the quality of the air and the light. And again, we have a map. You will see that on the screen. It's, the journey, what they have been doing since they left the harbor of Tyre is about 3,500 kilometers, which is probably close to 3,000 miles, or 2,800 miles. So it's a major endeavor, by walking.
It's like walking across the country almost.
Yeah,
the United
it
States.
is. Yeah. So Yeshua says one day to his mother, Meryem, tell me again, are you sure you want to keep going east? Renouncing is not a failure, but sometimes it is wisdom. And his mother just smiled, but Yeshua knew her enough to understand what it meant. What she meant to say was, leave me alone. You know very well that I will not stop nor prevent you from moving forward. I love too much the idea to go forwards and towards the place where the sun rises. And, therefore the little group is continuing. And Afsamane is identical to the memories Yeshua when he came to during his first journey at the age of 17 or 18 years old. It's a gathering of all kinds of animals among tents and shacks and merchants coming from different horizons. And behind that chaos is a flourishing town, extremely happy and very diversified in its colors and attires, And it's actually a living lesson of tolerance, racial mixing, and sharing.
Those were the days.
Yeah, those were the days, yeah. And again, Thomas, the brother of Yeshua, is stupefied, He had always talked about the eternal through the name of Hawun. And here he was discovering that it was possible to talk to God through a multitude of temples and religions. Yeah, so all these people, are coexisting together, you having different religions, different thoughts, but they're all happy.
Everybody has their own pathway to God.
Exactly.
Right? I mean, it can't be everybody, you have to do this in order to get to God. Everybody has their own way of resonating with it. So,
and I guess
it's nice.
In that time, they didn't create the differences, and the antagonism between the Muslim and the Christian or the who knows what else.
It doesn't matter, right? It
really
doesn't matter. As long as you find God and within yourself too.
And actually, on the second day, Thomas and Meryem, his wife, had the experience of communicating with God in a different temple.
Wow.
So that's good. Peace and hope were bringing joy to their faces, and that meant the eternal was not far away. And a week later, the little group says farewell to Bashim and his caravan helpers, as well as the animals. So the caravan is actually going back to Damascus.
Oh, okay.
So for them, they have reached, Afsamane was their end point,
Yeah.
And so now they are going back to Damascus and then Tyre. And that was their life, and they liked it, So they're going to stay in the camp for another week, respecting Meryem, who needs a lot of rest. And in the meantime, Yeshua is also looking for another caravan to take them to the city of Sadrasva, and beyond that, since we are going all the way to Merwe in the Kashmir. Some will wonder about the deep and intense exhaustion of Meryem and the non-intervention of Yeshua to heal her. Okay? Yeah, some people may wonder, okay, Yeshua has been healing so many men and women in the past. Okay, why is it that he cannot do something for his mother?
Right, yeah.
But in fact, Meryem is refusing all kind of healing. And she tells him, why would you cure me, Yeshua? Master, I am not sick. I am not suffering. I have no wounds or disorder in me. Being exhausted, is that a disease? I've been working a lot in all possible ways. And we have to respect the cycles of the bodies and the souls. Thus, I beg you, let the will of Hawun take over. And, Meryem was not wrong, and Yeshua was perfectly aware of it. But what kind of wisdom do you have to deploy in such circumstances, when you see your mother
Mm-hmm.
dwindling down and you
Right.
know you can heal her or bring her back to.
Right. Well, it's
So
respecting the cycle, right?
yes,
Just like she
exactly,
said, you have to
exactly,
respect
exactly, yeah.
the
hmm
time.
So the city of Sadrosva is reached quickly, even though the caravan was slow due to the ages of the animals. And it was dust basically in the nostril and the eyes, as well as starry nights and cold nights. It was an immense desert of rocks swept by the wind pushing the sand. So again, we have to imagine that those are not very pleasant land to cross. Yeah.
No.
So every night, the group and the caravan people would meet and pray and talk. And the caravan crew was a small family, and they were enjoying the presence of Yeshua and his family. And the separation in the city of Sadsrava was difficult and left the two groups very sad again. So Yeshua decides to walk alone in the city of Sadsrava, which is also the city where Alexander, and also known as Sikander, made one of the most abominable slaughter ever to take place on this planet. Okay, and Yeshua realized that the thought forms of suffering, the death, and the blood is still very present. Hundreds of years later, it is still there. Yeah. And Mother Earth, according to Yeshua, had a very difficult time absorbing all the atrocities and horrors of that time committed by the Alexander the Great, right, and his armies. Yeah.
Of course, it would be the opposite.
Yeah. So it will take the small group about 10 days to leave the city and find a caravan to Baal Baktra and Merwe. Okay, so their next destination is Baal Baktra and the city of Merwe, which is located today in the Turkmenistan. So most caravans were not accepting them or leaving before a moon period. So it was it was difficult. Unfortunately, Yeshua and Thomas are finding a few family of nomads who were trading fabrics and rugs, specialized in fabrics and rugs. And on top of that, two of their dromedaries were trained to pull carriages, which is also very unusual. And discussing with them, Yeshua managed to have them take Meryem on one of the carriage whenever necessary. She would be able to lay down and basically she would be pulled, and not having to walk, while the convoy, is proceeding through the high deserts. And again, the journey is absolutely endless, even more endless than the trip from Damascus to Shushan, to the city of Shush, right? The trail is almost invisible for the untrained eyes, and it's spotted by invisible presences. And Meryem, the mother of Yeshua, is also perceiving them. And one morning, Yeshua finds his mother talking at low voice with a light blue form, which was scratching itself against an old dry tree. So you have to realize that, okay, so the tree is visible, but the blue form is in the etheric, right?
Right.
And is not visible to most people.
Right.
But Meryem is talking to that form. She was very happy. And it was the spirit of a group of antelopes that were rarely seen jumping here and there. Extremely rare. I mean, you could rarely see them in the desert. And Meryem had managed to attract that spirit. And the next day, the nomads of the caravan could see 5 or 6 of these antelopes get close to the caravan itself. And they were stupefied because they could never see these animals before. They had actually never seen them before.
Oh, wow.
So I guess the communication between Meryem and that kind of entity, the blue form, helped them. And this encounter, although very brief, gave Meryem some strength and joy, And the following day, the next morning, it was a large group of rabbits that surrounded the campment again. And again, you have to realize this is extremely rare because it's a very harsh desert, with just this sand and rocks. Anyway, so she has for the nomads, it was a very good omen. And they started saying that it was the goddess Anahita that was giving them a sign,
Mm.
And in fact, it's interesting because the goddess Anaita is often depicted with rabbits and hare,
Oh,
which are
okay.
symbolizing the reproduction, the
Mhm.
germination, and even the resurrection. And Yeshua is also very touched by this sign, and he appreciates the gesture from the living intelligence, reminding us that everything and all are linked and communicates, right?
Right.
And Meryem must have caught Yeshua's thoughts as she asked, she goes to Yeshua and she asks, and Elohim, did he visited you recently? So again, for our audience, Elohim is that extraterrestrial presence, most likely Pleiadians, who is watching and monitoring, making sure that the plan is happening correctly.
Oh boy.
And
We're still looking.
Yeah, and Yeshua says, yes, I perceived him, but he does not always talk with words. I know he's here, but often he communicates with images. He is a messenger that uses other messengers,
Right.
such as the clouds and their shapes, or the cry of a bird at a precise moment, even a bee that comes to sting you where you have to be stung to realize certain things.
Right. Well, it's kind of like using totems today, right? When you see a butterfly or a deer, you
Yes,
look up the totems to see the messages.
exactly.
And also,
Exactly. I'm
Mhm.
glad you say that. Yeah. And so for Miriam, all this made perfect sense, contrary to the sisters Sarah and Mariam, who were still very shy in the presence of Yeshua and could not understand those so-called coincidences, And that is why, Yeshua was explaining all these responses of nature at with a full loud voice, He also realized at that moment that the act of teaching was essential to him and that he was missing doing it. It was not so much a need of his personality or ego, but more of the spark located in his heart.
Mhm.
I guess he has been teaching so much and now he's rather quiet,
Right.
So teaching was for him an offering and a blooming of all instants. And Thomas, his brother, says, tell us more, Master. And again, we have to recognize that Thomas has these habits of calling his brother Master. Okay, the Master title was coming back, and Yeshua had to accept it till his last breath, even coming from his own brother, right?
Mhm.
And Yeshua responds, what do you want me to teach you, Thomas? All has been said and repeated, even if it's never repeated enough. But I understand what you're asking and the fact that there will never be a definitive answer to it. So, what can I teach other than to love, Thomas? It is the first word of everything and it never ends. You see, for most women and men of this earth, to love is to search in the other the pieces that they believe are missing, that they need, at least for a moment. But in truth, love is another thing. First of all, it is a gift without premeditation, with no reserve, no condition, and certainly not a trade or a barter. Love is a piece of the being without passion nor dependency, that is to say, without control and slavery. How many are living it this way? There is no other door to completion, no other secrets to the life that is permeating through me. Perhaps nobody understood it. When I pray, I'm not calling Awun or the divine as if they were located at the other end of the universe, right? In fact, the divine is in my essence. It is my food of each instant, as I am also its food. The only difference with me, Thomas, is that I always lived like that without doubting. And at that point, Sarah is asking with her delicate voice, thus, how can we do it, Master? How can we be like you? And Yeshua responds, Sarah, you do not have to resemble me, my sister. Nobody has to do it. To copy, to imitate, does not lead to finding oneself. The beauty of a tree is not the same as an apple, right?
Right.
And still, both were born of an idea of perfection, somewhere in the infinite. Imitate yourself, Sarah. You are the seed of what you may become. Oh, if only everyone understood that you have to talk about love to reveal it. So many men and women spend their life not daring tell each other that they love them. Sometimes it feels like the simple act of saying I love you is hurting them, or it is perceived as a weakness.
It's funny, right? Because even
Yeah.
growing up, I mean, you know, my parents' generation, I don't think there was a lot of I love yous, you know, to maybe to each other, but not so much to the kids. And I know raising my kids, I was like, always, I love you. I love you. And we hang up the phone, right? It's just, it's nice having that expression of that
Yeah,
word out there.
very true.
But, you know, it's interesting. It's such an easy word. I don't know why. Yeah, I guess it was a form of weakness, or
Yeah.
maybe they were afraid they weren't going to get it in return. I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
So Yeshua continues, I mean, along the line of what you're saying. Is it an issue with pride? Is it a problem with the mask that wants to believe it can be by itself only, you know?
Right.
The mask being the ego, the personality. So the entire humankind should ask the question. The answer is one of the most important, since it leads to a complete opening and a renunciation of all attacks and rejection, right? Yeah. So Yeshua continues and he addresses Thomas and Meryem, his recent wife. And he says, Thomas and Meryem, love each other fully. Do not limit yourself to look into each other's eyes. Do not fear isolating yourself in the desert from time to time. Gift yourself with moments of solitude. That is also a prayer. Make the flesh explode in ecstasy 100,000 times if your beings request it. Where would be the problem? Where would be the sin? Where would be the contradiction with the spirit? The obstacle can only be born from enslavement and dependency. So, of course, what he's saying here has never been transmitted in the official scripture, right?
Yeah.
They have been doing all they can to separate the body from the spirit, right? One being evil, and the other one being the what we are shooting for, right? So as Yeshua finished his teachings to Thomas and Meryem, a loud and big laugh is heard from the caravan crew. So those guys were listening. And a man with a jovial and happy face points his finger to Yeshua. Well, I have never heard something like this in my entire life. I see you guys pray morning and evening, and I knew you would be some kind of rabbi in your culture. But here, if you mix the prayers with that, you understand me? Everybody here knows that the rabbis and the priests like the pleasures, but they never talk about them. Who is the God that allows you all that? I am interested. I like it. And Yeshua put his hand on the man's shoulder and says, Oh, I'm not sure you heard it all. Listen to me again. Yes, I spoke about love in the body, even of the flesh. But I did not speak about pleasures, because the pleasure is not enough for the power that I pray. Do you understand? It always run away. What I'm teaching is happiness, felicity, or if you prefer, a very profound joy that makes the body and spirit fuse together, instead of being in conflict with each other. So the nomad at that point is lowering his gaze, as Yeshua is ending his response. And he says, okay, well, it is good, yeah. And he was no longer laughing. And Yeshua's instinct was to touch him, and it was done. Yeshua has always tried to touch people like that, like to poke them, to
make them think.
Yeah, make them think and maybe trigger something, trigger a reaction in them, And Yeshua had noticed before that this man was different from the others. He was occasionally extremely funny or sad, And that was hiding some suffering, you know. It
Mm-hmm.
was a sign. So the nomad goes back to his group, you know, and the rest of the group obviously had not understood anything of the situation. So Meryem, the mother, again, is laying in a chariot, silent. She could not agree more, since, you know, she had made love and conceived Yeshua before her official wedding to Yusuf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, actually 2 months before, 2 months before the official wedding, right? So she knew what he was talking about.
Right.
At the first stop, Thomas whispered in Yeshua's ear, you know, and he says, "How can I thank you, Yeshua? I cannot even say to you, may the Eternal bless you, because you're already blessed."
Yeah.
And finally, on a gray and heavy evening, the small caravan reaches the town of Merwe, you know, which is in the Turkmenistan. And that town is offering them an oasis of greenery and freshness to the travelers, which are now exhausted and very sweaty.
Mm-hmm.
And although having walked very little, because she was being pulled in the carriage, right, by the dromedary, Miriam looked like she had lost a lot of energy. She was not complaining, but Yeshua knew that she was suffering from the chest. And Yeshua and her were too close, actually, and he could feel the pain in his own body. Okay, could feel her pain in his own body. Yeah.
That can happen.
Yeah. And Miriam had even accepted at time that Yeshua placed his hand on her to give her some healing energy.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, she was really suffering and she was accepting some relief. And for Yeshua, it was very simple. They would stay in Merwe as long as necessary, and everybody in the group agreed. And of course, the caravan left the small group to continue their journey to the city of Baal Baktra, because they could not wait for Yeshua and his family.
Mm-hmm.
Even though the teachings were good and interesting,
Right.
they could not wait. Yeah. And Miriam did not argue with that decision for once. You know, it was the obvious signs of her immense weakness and the pain she was enduring. Her heart was worn out by all the things she had been through, and we know what, right?
Yeah.
And Yeshua was observing her in the dark, and he could perceive, you know, gray and brown etheric energy above her, pulsating like a heart. So there was definitely some signs of disease, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And luckily, the group had found a pleasant space to raise their tents. You know, it was in the ruins of an old house without a roof near an oasis. And they were enjoying the space, and nobody complained about their presence, you know. Actually, some people were even bringing them some food, extra bread,
Nice. Yeah.
some dishes baked on a stone, you know, in the sun, or the eternal fava bean soup, which we find everywhere, right? But this time it was with unfamiliar spices. And the condition of Miriam was obvious to the people, you know, as well as the light emanating from her.
Mm-hmm.
So they could see that she was very sick, but at the same time, they could see that she was a very advanced spiritual being. And Yeshua will never forget about this extremely hot day when the son of the nearby farmer came to visit them. He was planning to go to the city to find a doctor to help his mother, which is afflicted with her 2 legs being swollen and unable to sustain her. So I don't know if she had some form of gout or whatever, but she could not walk. And the son was also wondering if that doctor should visit Miriam, and just that thought, you know, touched Yeshua very deeply. And so he took both hands of the kids and he said, "My brother, may the light shine on you. My mother will pass very soon. She knows it and wishes to do it in full consciousness. She's strong and she wants to fly away with her own wings when the time will be right. As far as Tisdra, your mother, you can go back to her bedside, because the breath of the Eternal is with her in that moment. I tell you." And while saying this, you know, Yeshua is feeling this usual overwhelming feeling, a wave of peace. And he knows innerly inside himself that Tisra was being healed. So the boy, looked at Yeshua for a little while, stay here and then, not knowing what to do, he ran back to his farm. And of course, the following day, about 30 people were present in front of Yeshua.
Here we go.
Yeah, the news had spread very quickly. And the people had spread petals of yasamana, which is the jasmine, right? As an offering for what was inside Yeshua. Okay. And crying, the young boy was in front of the small crowd, holding his mother by the arm, and she was walking.
Oh.
So overnight, she regained the use of her legs. Yeah. As expected, the story of that miraculous healing went around the city of Merwe in a very short time, as you can imagine, right? Yeah. And every morning they had a large gathering, which was visiting for Yeshua, And of course, Yeshua could not refuse to heal the ailments of all the people that came to him. I mean, it was his
calling,
his duty, his responsibility, whatever you want to say. So how to define such a situation, His mother in this lifetime, Meryem, who is also his twin soul, was going away each day a little bit more. And Yeshua could not be next to her any longer because he had to attend to all these people coming to him, right? And Meryem, of course, wanted it that way. She didn't want it any other way, And she tells Yeshua, do you think I do not know the past, Yeshua? Do what you have to do here. And Meryem knew how to read inside herself, and how it had been written. For Sarah, Thomas, and Meryem, it was another story. They were feeling powerless in front of this announced departure, right?
Right.
It was a real initiation for them. I guess there is a big disconnect between a sudden and abrupt death, right? And a death that you can see coming. Right. It has been announced, and it is pending, basically, right? And sometimes, Meryem was regaining some strength and was evoking some of the happy times of her existence, of her life with Yusuf, her husband, near the lake and so forth. And Thomas, her son, was noting all she was saying and was writing short text of wisdom that Meryem called a sunshine of the woman. And those texts, which were written with a brown ink on rolls of palm, were taken by Thomas to Merwe in Kashmir, where they are and still remain to be found.
Oh, wow. Oh, still remain to be found. Oh,
yep, they have never been found yet. If they still exist,
Right.
Apparently they would be existing. And then the day came, it was a morning, and Yeshua was healing the deformed foot of a newborn. He had just finished coating the foot with his saliva mixed with dirt, and that's how he normally.
Right. Yeah.
And then he was blowing on it when suddenly a lightning went behind his eyes, which were closed, accompanied by a strong pain in the chest. And Yeshua knew the sign. He knew what it means, So he blessed the mother and the newborn and rushed to Meryem, his mother. And Meryem was laying under a date palm in the shades. And Sarah was with her, completely livid. And Meryem said, "Is it you, Yeshua? I cannot see you. I do not see anything. It felt like I was stabbed in the chest, and then all was erased. It is the moment. Tell me. Last night I saw." And her voice stopped there, and after a moment of silence, she took a large inhalation through her mouth, held her breath, and released it. And Yeshua was holding her hands while Sarah had her forehead on her feet. And so Yeshua and Sarah are going to stay like that, empty-minded and speechless, And finally, Yeshua closed Miriam's eyes, and he took his sister Sarah in his arms, She did not cry. She had found the strength to be happy for her mother and realized that she had to take the path of beauty, and vanquish the rupture that was taking place. And Yeshua was very impressed to see sisters so mature and wise on that morning. So that was the end of Meryem.
Well, I can't believe you got this far.
Yeah. Without any roses or angelic clouds, like some people have described.
Yeah.
She did not need any of that. Yeah. So late in the night, Yeshua did not leave his mother. From the bottom of his heart, he spoke to her for hours, remembering the thousand details of their life, as the Essenes tradition was prescribing it. And Yeshua did it knowing full well that there was nothing to entangle or to comfort or to cajole with his mother. He did it for the beauty of the journey and the woman that she had been. And finally, Yeshua slid out of his body and he accompanied Meryem on her shred of light that she was taking to join her home somewhere to Shambhala. So her face was joyful and her gaze full of sparks and energy. And Yeshua enjoyed it so much that he dived into it and he said it was soft and in truth incredibly joyful. Yeah. When he returned to his body, he noticed that a large number of people had gathered around him and the body of Meryem. And the group was singing and psalmodieing words that Yeshua could not understand, but those words sounded good to his ears. And of course, Thomas and Meryem, were on the ground crying. And so Meryem was buried 3 days later, according to the Essenes tradition, in front of a very, very large gathering. So everywhere around the area, it was said that the blessed mother of Yeshua, they call it Yeshua because they cannot pronounce it. Yeshua,
Yeshua.
The one with the healing voice and the hands had returned to the land of the great souls, and that her memory had to be preserved through time. And it's interesting to find out that the town of Merwe, the name of that town was later changed to the name of Mary. In Turkmenistan.
Very interesting. Jeez.
Yep.
I wonder why they did that.
So I don't know if the place where Mary was buried is still visible. Probably had disappeared, but maybe there are some people who knows, who have kept the tradition.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Wow. Well, thank you so much. I'm glad you made it through that. I know it's hard. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, and we hope to see you next time.